Hello and welcome to yet another episode in our list of tutorials or series of tutorials to explain the workings of our LeaseWeb Private Cloud based on CloudStack products. My name is Rogier Boutkamp and I am the product owner of the cloud portfolio, which in short means that I help the developers decide which features we're going to build next and explain to them what the customers or the internal customers or colleagues need from the product. Today we will be discussing how to create a compute offering. A compute offering is another basic component whilst creating instances. In one of our other tutorials which explained how to create an instance, we made use of these compute offerings, but we did not dive into the details of how to create one. So this tutorial will explain. If we go to the dashboard and we go to the tab Service Offerings, we get to choose from two options, either Compute Offering or Disk Offering, but since this tutorial is about Compute Offering, we will just dive straight in. Creating a compute offering is creating a component which decides the amount of RAM and the amount of cores which are associated with an instance. We'll be going through all the fields, and in the end we will end up with a finished new compute offering which can be used to create an instance. In this case I will create a new one which I will call Rogier. The name and description are pretty self-explanatory. The storage type is, at the moment it's always shared for our platform. We provide a shared storage option as default. We are looking into other options, but right now shared is the only option we have. Shared storage is also necessary for our high availability option, which means that if a hypervisor or a machine, a host where your instance is running on, gets into trouble and it stops working, the instances on that physical box will be moved to or created on another instance, and the volume, which is mounted on a shared volume, will be associated with the machine, and the machine can be booted up and start running on another host. So it's a contingency option to make sure that your infrastructure will not be down very long. Okay, shared storage type. Out here we get to choose the number of CPU cores which are associated with an instance. This is also pretty self-explanatory. I get to choose, so I will say I need 2 cores for this machine because it will be pretty populated. The memory is the next option. It will be rounded up to a whole gigabytes, but let's just be exact and select 2048 megabytes of RAM for this machine. I have the option to implement a network limit, which might come in handy if I want to make sure that the available bandwidth is shared in an equal or distributed way. Or I can just leave it blank, and if I do so, it will just use maximum capacity available to the platform. Our CloudStack private cloud platforms are connected through multiple 10 gig connections. But on the other hand, every instance which gets created has a 1 gigabit virtual NIC. So if I leave it blank, I will get a virtualized 1 gigabit NIC, which is fine by me. Other options I could limit are the disk read rate, bytes per second, disk write rate, IOPS, either read or write. I do not feel like limiting this machine at all, so I will not enter any values in these fields, but if I want to, I could. The high availability option, which I mentioned before, can be selected as an option for the compute offering here. Yes, I do want my machine to be rebooted on another node if the node it lives on has a problem, so I will tick that. Storage tags is something which labels the storage option this machine is attached to, but for now let's leave that blank as well. Host tags, same story. I could select a tag which we would have to set on our platform, which we didn't. So actually these fields are pretty useless for our customers right now. Might end up using them later though. Is volatile. Is volatile is an option which means that if I reboot the machine, it will just recreate the machine entirely. This sounds like a bit of a weird option, but what it actually makes sure of or does is if say for example we have a Q&A testing environment, and every time we if we reboot a machine, we just want to start from a clean template as it was when it was created, because we tested some stuff, but we want to make sure that the machine, when we do the next test cycle, is exactly the way it was when we first started testing. Well, is volatile will make sure that if a machine is rebooted, it will just get recreated from the same template it was built with in origin, so that I know for a fact that this machine is pristine, exactly the way it used to be when it got created the first time. Of course, there's a domain, which in our case is the normal domain we use. This is also not an option to change, so it's there, but it will define your own domain. Okay, so I think I set all the values to the proper values. I will start creating this compute offering. Here we go. That's done. Well, if I were to create a new instance, and I will just pick any template, I will get to choose from the newly created compute offering. And this concludes another episode of our tutorials explaining the workings of our LeaseWeb Private Cloud based on CloudStack. Thank you for viewing, and I hope to see you next time.